This is Lady Bo-Katan of House Kryze. She's a Mandalorian, and if you are watching the Mandalorian TV show, you should be familiar with this character, as you should be if you've watched the Clone Wars and Rebels. This is one of the most predominant characters in Star Wars at the minute, and for good reason, because she's an epic badass. So, Bo-Katan, a couple years back, she finally got a Black Series figure, and this is that figure, and it is a stunning piece of artwork. It really is. Black Series, you guys, your line is so good. It is like I don't have many, but the ones I do have, I really like. Really like. So, Bo, she's a night owl. She was part of Death Watch. It's just, a bit of character backstory I'm giving you now because I'm a massive Star Wars nerd. She was a night owl, part of Death Watch, second in command to Pre Vizsla, who got his head chopped off by Darth Maul. She didn't recognise his rule, went on like a rebel crusade against him, teamed up with a Jedi like Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, etc. Kind of reclaimed Mandalore at the end of Clone Wars, but the Empire, kicked her off and installed Clan Saxon instead. She continued trying to, upheave his rule, even throughout Rebels, with the help of Sabine and the Ghost Crew. And then the Night of 1,000 Tears or something. Isn't that what it is in Mando? That destroyed everybody. And so once again, in the quote modern timeline of the Mandalorian, she's still trying to get back claim of her homeworld and everything. Once upon a time she did have the Darksaber, now she doesn't. How she lost it, we still don't know. Anyway, that's enough about her backstory. Bo's an awesome character and this is an awesome figure. So let's take a good look at this thing in a nice clear detail. And first of all, we'll take a look at this helmet. It is very nicely sculpted, and unlike the Sabine Wren figure, this fits on so much better. Her helmet was made out of this malleable rubber plastic sort of thing, but it's squished into her head and it was a very tight fit. This, on the other hand, this is a very decent, fit on it. It's quite loose. Well, it's not loose in the fact that it's really wobbly on her head, but it's nice and snug and it grips without the idea of it going to scrape into the head. We'll take a look at the head sculpt in a moment, but we'll just focus on this helmet for now. So you can see all of these night owl markings all over, which she didn't originally have in her first couple of appearances. It wasn't until Rebels that these debuted, and then they retroactively came in on the last season of Clone Wars. But they're cool, they help distinguish her a little bit more. Nice white, nice kind of a light blue going on here. If we look further down the figure, you've got the symbol of the night owls on her pauldrons. She has nice silver Bescar armour. There is a little bit of scuff texture on there, which is appreciated. So she's been through the wars a little bit. You can see there's a bit there, there's a tiny little bit there. Again, the helmet isn't perfect. There are some scuffs here, there and everywhere. Continue to pan down, you've got like this reddish clay brown kind of paint going on for the belt, which is quite nice. She comes with two Westar pistols, which are currently in her holster. They are removable. We'll take a look at them again in a second. And then the cargo pant kind of things going on. You've got this blue once again for the kneecaps and the shin protectors, brown boots just to help break up that colour palette a little bit more. There is some nice detailing on there. Again, it is hard to see with this camera because what we're like when it comes to focusing, but you might be able to make out like this texture of leather going on here. Again, whether you are able to see it, I don't know, but it is quite interesting that they've managed to put that in there, just an extra little added detail, so that's cool. And yeah, obviously Mandalorians, their suit, the body glove is made up of many different components, so if you look very closely at things, and you can make out that there's like an undershirt underneath this little bit here, which is a short-sleeved tunic which ends right there, and you've got another longer sleeve, so there's like 3 different layers going on here. But yeah, different coloured gloves going on there. They are kind of like a really muddish brown going on. They're not completely black. You've got kind of the wrist rocket whistling bird thing going on there. It'd help if that was in focus, wouldn't it? But hey ho, there we go. There is a nice little bit of bronze on the tip there. I don't think it is gold. I think it is bronze from the looks of it. And yeah, so just stunning detail all over. She has a jetpack, which we can see right there. It is kind of sculpted more after Jango Fett's sort of shtick going on. Primarily silver. That blue reappears here, and it is removable. So it is kind of like a plain back she's got going on there, which, yeah, I mean, you have to sacrifice details somewhere, don't you, just to fit this gimmick thing going on. But it's removable, so that's appreciated at least. Right, and then if we take a look at the helmet, by the way, the rangefinder does also move, so you can get her looking around and like scanning stuff as well. So that's neat. Take the helmet off nice and easily, and let's take a look at that head sculpt, which is crafted after Katie Sackhoff herself. And it's a very good likeness. It is a very good likeness indeed. A little critique about how she looked in The Mandalorian was the hair wasn't quite accurate. It was a bit too short. They have fixed that now in season 3. So whether they will reissue this figure in the future with more accurate hair, I don't know. But for what it is, you know, not too bad. And just good overall. I'm just peering around the camera to look at it in greater detail with my own eyes. I'm just trying to see if they've like sculpted in some of her scars, because she does have a scar up there. She does also have a bit of a, or she's meant to have scuff on the cheek there, but for some reason Matt never made it through the transition to live action. But hey ho. But yeah, no, there's not much else to say about the face sculpt. It's just, you know, very, very accurate and very great attention to detail going on there, so that's cool. In terms of articulation then, Bo's head can rotate 360 degrees. She can tilt it up about that far, and she can tilt it down about that far. In terms of the shoulders, there is a 360 rotation like that. She can spread them out about that far, and you know, a bit of a twist going on. You've got 360 degrees of elbow articulation there, and a 90 degree bend like that. You've got wrist swivel as well, and then it can also bend upwards. Well, it can't really bend upward about on you know, that's the maximum I'm trying to say, but it can bend downward like that, so that's a thing it can do. In terms of a waist, there is kind of like this upper torso turn here, but it is, you know, a little bit stiff, but it's achievable. In terms of ab crunch, there isn't really anything, just because of the way that the armor is sculpted. She can't really bend back either, so that's a little bit disappointing. In terms of legs, there is a forward kick of about that far, a back kick of about that far. There is upper leg rotation in the usual spot. This figure isn't hindered in any way. I said in the Sabine review and also the Rey review that these joints on those figures, it was on one particular leg on them, it was incredibly hard to turn, but Bo here, no hindrance whatsoever, so that's really appreciated. In terms of a knee bend, over 90 degrees, so that's cool. You have lower knee swivel as well, even though that looks really disturbing. Why you should be able to do that, I don't really know. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do it. And then in terms of the feet, you have a bit of ankle pivots, and then you've got up and down like that. So to this figure's credit, all of the joints feel very, very sturdy, and nothing feels like it's going to break off. Same can't be said for some of the other figures that we've looked at, mainly Jaina, mainly Rey, Sabine, to an extent Ahsoka, but she is a more recent figure, so there's a little bit more better engineering in there. Bo, you know, engineering top class, well done. Now, if we have a look at the guns, I did say that we would briefly address them, so let's just take out the one, because that's all we need to do, and try and zoom in. It is pretty basic. There's not a lot of painting going on here apart from these brown handles. There is a little bit of sculpt work going on as well, whether you can see that hopefully, but it is very basic, very, very basic. It's light grey, and you know, they'll slot into the hands relatively securely. It is always a little bit tricky to get Black Series figures to hold stuff, but you know, sculpted in there, very nice. The primary finger goes through the trigger also, so yeah, very good with that, very, very good indeed. For a size comparison then, here is Bo-Katan next to Ahsoka Tano from the Clone Wars. very similar in terms of head height, so it's to be expected. They are relatively deluxe class figures. I use Transformers terminology in this case. What are they, 6-inch? I don't know. I ain't got a tape measure anywhere, so let's just say deluxe class. But anyway, similar heights with them. They look good together. Here is Bo with Sabine Wren again. The same in terms of head heights. They're both Mandalorian. They both have very different looks when it comes to their armors. Sabine's is a lot more cut back. There's a lot more flexibility in her design, whilst Bo is a lot more traditional Mandalorian. She has a lot more of her armor on. So it's just personal preference in terms of the character ideologies, but that's how they look together. Here is Bo with Koska Reeves, her fellow Night Owl and companion in Mandalorian Season 2. They look great together as well. Obviously, Koska, like Bo, has a face mapped off her actress, in this case being Sasha Banks. To make that Transformers comparison, we're bringing in RC just to, demonstrate how they are basically the same size as one another. And then Mysterio here brings in the comparison between the Black Series line and the Marvel Legends line, which is basically Marvel's equivalent to Black Series. So that's our look at the Black Series Bo-Katan figure. I think this is an excellent figure. Beautiful detailing all over, beautiful articulation. The thing feels sturdy and well made and just fits in so well with a lot of the other figures that I've got in my collection. Definitely recommend this. No problem whatsoever. I will review Koska in short order as well, hopefully. Again, she's a very similar figure. She is basically just a remold of Bo, but there's maybe just a few differences enough to warrant her own review. I could have very easily bung her in this one as well, but nah, she'll get her own. So yeah, Bo-Katan, excellent character as well, just really fantastic representation of her in toy form. Highly recommend. Thank you everybody, one and all, for stopping by and checking out this video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.